Hello and a very warm welcome. I, Anushrii Bathla Oza, your host, welcomes you to our first session, Rödl and Partner presents The Lighthouse, Talks with India Experts, Industry Edition, in which we will discuss about various interesting topics with renowned industry stalwarts. I'm very pleased to invite for our today's session, Mr. Rajesh Nath, Managing Director of VDMA India. VDMA, Verband Deutscher Maschinen- und Anlagenbau, that is the Association of German Machine and Plant Construction. VDMA, with 3,600 members, is the largest network organization and an important voice for the machinery and equipment manufacturing industry in Germany and Europe. The association represents the common economic, technical, and scientific interests of this unique and diverse industry. VDMA has been in India for more than 2 decades, acts as a bridgehead for the German and European companies with India. Rajesh has more than 3 decades of experience working in various industries in Germany and India. He has been accorded the Cross of the Order of Merit, highest civilian award from the German President for promoting Indo-German trade in engineering sector. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thank you, Anushrii. Thank you for inviting me for this Lighthouse talk show.
Wonderful. It's so nice to have you here.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to invite Rahul Oza. Rahul is the Director, Partner and Head of Practice of West and South Region of Rödl and Partner Consulting Private Limited. Rahul is a German professional with Indian roots, having experience of more than 15 years of advising European, especially German companies on their way to India. Many companies have gained from his expertise to run successful operations in India. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you very much. Finally, I have the opportunity as well to speak in the Lighthouse.
Anytime, we are more than excited to have you here, and especially today, it's a very special session, a brand new series of the Lighthouse Talks with India Experts Industry Edition.
And if I may interrupt here, thank you very much, Rajesh. I'm very happy that the first industry edition we are doing with you. It's really nice.
My pleasure and honor. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for inviting me to be on this talk show.
Rajesh, earlier when we were speaking in the morning today, Rahul told me that you are a man of statistics. So let me shoot my first question to you.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Where does the Indo-German trade stand today?
Actually, Anushrii, the Indo-German trade has been growing very well, and especially in 2022, now it has touched about, it's touched 31.6 billion euros, which is a growth of 23% in comparison to 2021. And more interesting is that after 20 years, there is a negative balance of trade with Germany. So the export from Germany to India is 15.6 billion euros. And from India to Germany, it's 15.8 billion euros. So it's a new phenomena what we are seeing now.
Great, good to know that. Well, my second question is also for you, Rajesh. How is the perception of your member companies on India?
The perception of German companies on India has really changed over the period of time. I remember when I started my journey with VDMA almost a quarter of a century back, people used to ask, why do we need to come to India? Now it is no more a question of why we need to come to India, but how can we come to India? Where should we establish ourselves in India? So I think the image of India has also changed, and India is the fastest growing major economy in the world, and this is really attracting the interest of the German companies. So I'm very hopeful that the next coming years we will see a lot of interaction of the German companies in India, and it would help in the growth of the Indo-German bilateral trade.
Absolutely agree with you. Okay. Rahul, how do you see Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat push as a driving force for India?
Yeah, thank you, Anushrii, for this very relevant question. Make in India is surely one of the most important political decisions which this government has taken. And it is not only an idea or in marketing, it is actually all the reforms of of the past 9 years are really focusing on this, be it the GST reform, tax reforms, other social and infrastructural reforms, very much towards the Make in India Mittelstand in our sphere. As you know, we are the Make in India Mittelstands partner, so I always keep on talking about that only. Yes. Having said that, it is very important for our demographic situation. We have a very young population which needs jobs. The job creation is very important. For the globe, it is very important because there is a very strong dependency which we have seen then during the COVID crisis. And this dependency on one or two countries did collapse the whole economic situation, and therefore it is very important that a strong player like India steps in and takes up a place in the global supply chain.
Yes, definitely, and I'm sure that this is going to happen looking at the intensive approach that the government is taking towards this program.
Yes, and you said it rightly. It is an intense approach and very decisively and very important.
Yes, absolutely. Rajesh, do you see the Atmanirbhar Bharat push as a chance or a risk for your member companies?
So Atmanirbhar is certainly a good chance for the German companies because it gives also the German companies in India. Actually, we are talking about India becoming resilient, India growing, and growth of the manufacturing sector in India. So for the German companies, it is a potential to invest in India, make in India, manufacture in India, and use India as a base for exports. So I think there are a lot of advantages of this Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, and the German companies, as it is, have been manufacturing in India since many years. So I think for them it is an extension of what they have been doing.
So it's clearly a bright chance.
Surely.
Yeah. Rahul, what kind of companies are keeping you busy these days?
Good question. Well, I would categorize it in three buckets. First bucket is the typical companies who want technology-based companies, German companies who want to invest in India with their sales and distribution companies. The second bucket are companies who are expanding their manufacturing footprint in India. This is very, very important and very intense in the consultancy. Well, and the third bucket are engineering and IT global delivery centers. This is actually not surprising because we have a huge scarcity of skilled manpower in Europe and especially as well in Germany. So now finally even mid-sized companies are setting up their IT global delivery hubs in India. And it varies from up to 20 people, starting from 20 people up to 500, 1500 engineers and software developers who are getting hired here in India.
Nicely explained, Rahul. Thanks a lot. Moving back to you, Rajesh, which sectors amongst VDMA members are keen to explore the Indian market?
When we look at the export of German machinery to India, the top segments are actually power transmission, fluid power, construction equipment, textile machinery, machine tool sector. So traditionally, Germany has been quite strong in these sectors. And I think this is where there's a lot of focus of the German companies in India. However, when we talk about India, I think some of the upcoming sectors in India, certainly the semiconductor electronics sector, the medical technology sector, and of course our focus will remain also on the traditional sectors like steel, infrastructure, road making. So it's going to be many existing sectors as well as some new upcoming sectors which will be of interest for the Indian market.
If I may add here 2 points quickly. All sectors, absolutely I agree and vouch for that as well. But I would like to add one technology which is very much in the focus of India, besides renewable energy, especially combined with the renewable energy, the green hydrogen. I think India wants to really mark its place there. And secondly, yes, thank you for reminding me of the infrastructure companies. Don't know how I could forget that earlier. That has especially a very strong tax angle, because many of these companies who are engaged in infrastructure projects construe or are prone to construe a so-called permanent establishment. So yeah, very valid points.
Thank you, Rahul, for pointing out about the energy sector and the green energy, green hydrogen, where India is really striving towards the zero emission.
Rahul, as per you, why is there a sudden push, or let's say spark, in Indo-German business?
Well, I think the sudden spark or intensity, grown intensity, is a late intensity. It should have come much earlier, and the problem is that early 2000, many German companies started investing and were a little bit disappointed on the Indian market. I feel as well that the strategy was not always really correct, because many companies, if we compare, for example, with our neighboring country, their German companies had the clear strategy that first it should be a manufacturing hub for the global market and then for the domestic market. In India, suddenly all the German companies thought that the domestic market is so strong and focused on the domestic market. But in order to have a strong domestic market, there needs to be a strong purchase power. To create the purchase power, we need again jobs and good paying jobs. For that, we need foreign investment, which is rather export oriented. Now finally, with the whole global supply chain crisis, energy crisis in Europe, China +1, decoupling, de-risking, all these factors are playing into a mixture of India having prepared, as I mentioned earlier, over the past years to become a manufacturing hub. And that is now absolutely acknowledged by the German industry. Recently there was as well a study or a survey which was very positive. It was, I'm advising since 15 years German companies, and it was the most positive survey which I read about India.
Very well explained, Rahul. Now I understand this. Rajesh, I've heard you are a seasoned speaker and a moderator, and how you bring these interesting and hard fact questions in a rapid fire round. Yes, so let's do a role reversal today and have you on the hot seat.
Sure, let's try it out.
And Rahul, you as well on the hot seat.
Okay, so I'm his +1.
Yes, absolutely. So are we ready for it?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's go. FTA, free trade agreement between Europe and India. Necessity or nice to have?
Necessity.
Good to have.
Okay. Decoupling or China +1?
De-risking, I would say.
Okay.
China +1.
Make in India or for the world?
Actually both.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, moving on. Bigger potential, digital India or make in India?
I would say actually both again.
Okay.
Yeah, in principle as well both, but I would a little bit distinguish short term digital India, long term make in India.
All right, moving on. What hampers India's growth? Lack of skilled labor or bureaucracy?
Lack of skilled labor, I would say.
Yeah, bureaucracy definitely from my perspective.
All right, that was well answered. Thank you so much. It was such a wonderful session, And what a pleasure to have you both here. And after listening to this discussion, I learned that India has a huge potential and India's economy is growing strongly. So thank you so much, Rajesh, once again for being here and taking out your valuable time.
Thank you, Anushrii. Thank you for having me on this show.
Yeah, as well. Thank you very much that you made it and that you took out time for our show. And as long as we have such country ambassadors, brand ambassadors like Rajesh, I think India will keep on growing. Thank you very much for your constant efforts on the Indian market, promoting the Indian market, helping German companies. Highly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anushrii.
Yeah, thank you.